Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Friedman. I'm the provost of Fordham University, and I'd like to welcome all of you to tonight's very special event. Tonight, our distinguished speaker, Faith Popcorn, the founder and CEO of Faith Popcorn's BrainReserve. There are many honored guests here this evening, faculty members, students, friends of Fordham University, and friends of the FLAUMs, and all of us. We extend a warm welcome to you to the FLAUM Lecture Series. This leadership lecture series, developed through the very generous support of Sander and Michelle FLAUM, who are sitting in the front row, thank you very much, provides Fordham University's Graduate School of Business Administration with opportunities for their students to connect with notable leaders of the world's businesses. As the founder of FLAUM Partners, now called FLAUM Idea Group, a consulting firm focused on transformational thinking for the pharmaceutical and biotech industries, Sander is no stranger to the world of business and leadership here in New York, in the United States, and around the world. In 2002, Mr. FLAUM joined Fordham as an adjunct professor of management in the university's Graduate School of Business Administration, where he established the leadership forum and a course focused on teaching leadership qualities to future professionals. Since establishing this very prestigious and important lecture series, Sander and Michelle have continued to support its evolution over the past several years into one of our most distinguished and remarkable series of events. We acknowledge with profound gratitude their thoughtful generosity and countless contributions to the Graduate School of Business Administration and Fordham University community as a whole. I also wanted to thank Sander. He's been a friend and a supporter of the work that I've done over the years, and so has Michelle and Phyllis. I wanted to thank the three of them for their care and generosity to me personally. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the founder and chair of this wonderful series, Sander FLAUM.
He is the best provost ever. Before we get underway, I would just ask you to turn your cell phones off, for those of you who haven't. So good evening, Fordham leaders. It's really great to have you all here. It's a wonderful audience, and Stephen has asked me, Dr. Friedman, not to speak for more than an hour. So I will, I got it down to about 55 minutes right now. I have one of my star MBA students is here, Claire. So, hello, this is Claire, okay. My wife, who was the common sense of our family, Michelle, sitting right here in the first row, chose to fund the Fordham Leadership Series to really clearly distinguish us at Fordham from all the other graduate schools of business, really position us as the leadership school. And I'm happy that we did. What we do here with this wonderful faculty, and many of them are here, is to inspire and prepare and train the future leaders for the business world. And boy, do we need leaders now, right? More than ever? Yeah. So, I mean, I wish we could all get them out there right now, so we need them. So as you can see by the lofty list of speakers that we've had, and of course tonight's speaker, Faith Popcorn, the Graduate School of Business Administration attracts some of the best leaders, not only in the New York area, but around the world here. This campus and the great faculty helps to mentor these highly motivated working class students, I may say, to lead not only businesses, but not-for-profits as well, and civic institutions. So I'm really proud of what this school does and how it distinguishes itself from the other graduate schools in this area. So with that, let me introduce the leader of our graduate school of business administration right now, who is going to try and stay up tonight. He's just come back from Germany and China. I mean, I would have been asleep by now, but he's here honoring us. Dr. David Gauchi. David.
Thank you, Sander, and thank you all for coming out this evening to this event, which is a significant event in this week, which I'll speak about in just a moment. And Sander and Michelle, thank you very much for your generosity and actually for the thought that went into creating this series, which is becoming more and more significant, I think, in defining who we are as GBA, the Graduate School of Business of Fordham University. Your generosity is significant. Your influence, I think, on the young minds and aspiring leaders of the future is also significant. So thank you for your commitment to the institution. We're very grateful. This evening is positioned as one of the significant events of this week, which is Positive Marketing Week in schools of business, both the undergraduate school, the Gavelli School, and GBA. But let me just say a few things about what we're doing in marketing. This is an area that for some years maybe people could have argued was languishing, but I have to say that over the last 3 or 4 years, certainly under the leadership of the area chair, Professor Don Lehrman, this is an area that has really begun to rise and be noticed, not just in the city of New York, but across the world. Don was actually recently featured in a Wall Street Journal article relating to marketing analytics, which is in fact an initiative that we have coming out of the marketing area at GBA, where we will be launching a new program, a new master's program next September called the Master of Science in Marketing Intelligence. But this is also an area that has made terrific strides in being recognized, and for 2 years running has ranked as 21st in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. A remarkable accomplishment, I think, and we're thinking with events like this, with the kinds of connections that we have to the world of practice as well as to the terrific scholarship that the, well, if I do this, can you hear me? There we go. The terrific scholarship of the faculty, I think our expectations of this area are going to rise more and more, both for the faculty and for the students and for those that we connect to in the world of practice. So much to look forward to. Now this evening's speaker fits very well into the themes of this week. And so let me just say a few words about Faith Popcorn and her background and why she is so significant, I think, to us for this evening. She's a key strategist for her company. She applies her insight into cultural and business trends to help her clients reposition established brands and companies and to develop new models and to innovate. She is a trusted advisor to the CEOs of many Fortune 500 companies, and she has a documented 95% accuracy rate in significant predictions. She predicted the demand for fresh food, the demand for four-wheel drives. She was the first to anticipate the explosive growth of home delivery, home businesses, and home shopping. Additionally, she predicted the rise of social media and has a significant following on Facebook and Twitter. She was saying to me earlier, before we started, that if only people believed her when she was making these predictions, she was somewhat remorseful, I think, in thinking that people only appreciated her after things had happened. So maybe tonight, after the speech, we'll be thinking about what may be coming down the line, and maybe we'll take her a little bit more seriously. At least I think we should. Her future view, which focuses on how trends are affecting consumer lifestyles and purchasing behavior, has been presented to thousands of audiences across the globe. Faith is heralded for her extraordinary ability to forecast emerging consumer patterns. And I know we're going to hear something significant tonight about a particular demographic pattern. We are very honored to have Faith join us for tonight for this special event. Mark?
Let's turn that off.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Faith Popcorn.
Hi. Hi. I'm Faith Popcorn, and you're not. Lucky for you. Today I'm going to talk about this, a revolution of evolution, or a Re-EVEolution. And what we're talking about is, and please, you know what? As I talk, a lot of times people have questions, and they forget them at the end. So if you have some questions, like start to write them down, you know? Because I want to have a chat with you. That's how I learn stuff. So this is about the new feminine energy. Have you noticed? So it's fueled by money, power, compassion, and it will not only shape the decade ahead, but it will be the decade ahead. And as we're exploring this, we've been starting to break this news to Pepsi and American Express and S.C. Johnson. It's amazing because most of these companies, women consume 90-something% of the products, and the other 5% they buy for him. And yet we don't really understand the power and the thinking that goes on in a woman's head. So that's what I'm going to try and make real for you tonight, and then you're not going to believe me, and then I'll see you in a couple of years. So we've been doing this since 1974, and as a matter of fact, my sister Michelle, in case somebody missed it, that's my sister and my brother. But anyway, she looks more like me than he does, and she used to be the president of my company, so she knows this stuff really intimately, a little too intimately. But what we do at the company is something called Applied Futurism. And that means that we don't tell people like this is going to happen. We really help them understand what to do with it. And we help brands and businesses build their best future. So a lot of times we'll be repositioning something, like right now we're repositioning Citibank globally. What do people think about banks? Right. So it took us about 2 years to really, when you're a banker, you don't want to know that. So the first thing is, truth and revelation, and then, repositioning. So these are the kind of work we do. In culture is kind of interesting because we believe media is kind of over. And then what you have to do is really weave the DNA of a brand into the DNA of a culture. That's how people receive messages these days. Some of our more recent clients, everyone is a story, like they used to say on Dragnet. And our intellectual property really is about talking to people. So we have something called VOC, Voice of the Culture. We're interviewing day and night. We call it late and drunk interviewing. We wait till it's really late, and they're really drunk. And then they tell us the truth. So those go on 24/7, sometimes for months. We have a very interesting talent bank, 10,000 experts in our talent bank. And if you'd like to join our talent bank, you have to have, this is the kind of hurdle. it's not about your job. I mean, I hope it is about your job, but it's what is your passion. And if you have a real passion, join our talent bank on faithpopcorn.com. We'd love to have you. And what we do is start to brainstorm with you, ask you questions, ask you what you're seeing. And then we have trend desks in 126 countries. And also, we live in New York. We're 6th generation New Yorkers. This is our DNA. My 17 children plus the other two at home now. But these are them. And the trends really describe the future. When any interest you, write them down. We can talk about those later. And this is the part I was telling you how sad it is. So we told G Capital in 1984, I think you worked on this, that the future of finance and small business will be female. 87, I think we got fired for this. We told Kodak, it's the end of film. That was the title of our final presentation, the end of film, and they said that's what we hired you for, to tell us the end of film. Goodbye. We told Coke to bottle water because we saw the whole water thing coming. We told Stanley Tools to target women. We called it DIH, do it herself. We told Roche to target consumers directly, that the doctor is dead, that they had to talk directly to the consumer. We told Pepsi to stop bottling water. See, things change. And the reason we told them to stop bottling water is we believe it's not going to be a green war, but it's going to be a blue war. And there's going to be a fight for water. You know, about 5 people only on the planet own all the water. This is going to become increasingly scary. And we predicted there'd be a global revolution. We called it Life Rage, Sakati Park. And we are now saying the she change, a decade of feminine energy, fueled by money. You see, it's fueled by a lot of money. Women are very, very rich. And that's going to make the difference in terms of people listening to what they want. They've got loads of money. And they also are compassionate. What an odd combination. So what we're talking about today is we're in the midst of one of the biggest shifts in history, the feminization of the culture for the decade ahead. So I don't know if you were hanging about in the UN, but just now the Brazilian president said, I speak to you with a feminine voice. It's the voice of democracy, of equality. I'm certain, ladies and gentlemen, that this will be the women's century. I'm just saying decade. In Portuguese, words such as life, soul, and hope are the feminine gender, as are courage and sincerity. I think she's quite a predictor herself. So let's talk about what we call the Great Recession. 80% of job losses in US and Europe were sustained by men, and for the first time there are more women in the workforce than men. So that's kind of interesting. Female skills win in this 21st century. 13 of the 15 job categories projected to grow are dominated by women. Classic male virtues are out of date in a world where networking, cooperation, and communication are prized. Climbing the corporate ladder in heels, women hold 51% of managerial and professional jobs, up from 26%. And 54% of accountants are women, just in case you don't think we're good at math. I mean, I'm not good at math. Women in emerging world are smashing the glass ceiling. So look at this. In China, 32% of the female senior managers are women. In Britain, 19%, USA 23%, and growing. Female CEOs in India, 11%, Britain 5%, USA 3%. It might have just bumped up to 4%, I'm not sure. Young women are out learning and out earning men. Percent of university graduates that are female, Estonia 70%, UAE 65%, Brazil 60%, USA 60%, China 47%, and growing. Young women earn more money than young men. Women put their mark on the economy. Women own more than 40% of private businesses in China. You were just there, right? In 1970, women contributed 4% of family income. Today it's 42%. Women stockbrokers perform better. Women do 9% of returns. That's because they do their homework and they're more conservative, I think. Right, Phil? They don't flip. That's why. And female CEOs outperform male CEOs, that little measly 3%, by 28%. And Warren Buffett agrees with me. He said, I said billionaires know it pays to tap into the feminine side. So they said he invests like a girl because he's a long holder. And he said guilty as charged. So you can be a man, and you're going to see this come through in this little talk, with very heavy feminine side, very heavy feminine values. So it's not just about women. Women's global income is greater than the GDP of China and India. Boards with the highest percent of females make more money. So return on equity 53% higher, sales 42% higher, invested capital 66% higher. So remember when they used to have the token woman on a board? Do you know what they have now? The token 2. Everybody has 2. And even with just 2, it looks like this. So I wrote a book maybe 10 years ago called Evolution. I was a little early being a futurist, but I think its time is now. And I think that the way women think and behave is really going to start to impact business and the way we think. So what's next for evolution? We call it now NGen, the end of gender. And that's the next step. End of gender is not about social androgyny, and NGen is not about the integration and the growing power of feminine energy, but it's the future. It's not female, it's not male. So look at these. 41% of women think marriage is obsolete. 40% of children in the US are born to unmarried mothers, and they're not all poor and making, $8,000 a year. These are choices. Women in Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, and Hong Kong are delaying marriage till 30, which is very late, because they don't want to get stuck at home. They don't have a child care system. Women question the merits of kids. Parents report lower levels of happiness, life satisfaction, marital satisfaction, and mental well-being. These are the stats nobody tells you. People who want kids 35 to 44, 16% are women, 25% are men. 1 in 5 fathers are the primary caregivers, tripling in the last 10 years. This is a real number. And 4 in 10 mothers are the primary breadwinners. So would you see? Tell me who's surprised. You're not surprised by this. I'm happy. Could you talk to my clients? I'm going to show you something here.
You guys have no idea how much it sucks. My dad's obsessed. Every day it's Bobby Flay this, Gordon Ramsay that. This morning he was pretending to read Playboy, but he actually had a Bon Appetit magazine hidden inside it. Well, hearing you bitch about your dad all the time is super interesting, Stan. I hope you do it the entire lunch period.
Cute, right? New family structures. So, Match.com, always really fast to hop onto this. So it's called coparentmatch.com. On Match, you look for a co-parent to help you raise your child. That's what it is. Or you look for somebody to have a baby with, but not necessarily be romantic with or live with. That's what's going on right now. And then the glorification of the omega male. I mean, new leading men are submissive, they're imperfect, but they're happy. They look happy in those roles. And women are entering the man cave. 40% of fans are women. Look at that. 49% of Troy's fans are women. This is really amazing. 40% of gamers are women. And children's identities are getting mushed up a bit. So a lot of moms are raising kids without strong gender foundations. So did you see this J. Crew ad? She just got divorced. It's really interesting. She's a creative director of J. Crew. And, of course, Shiloh, Angelina's kid, how do you say it? Shiloh decides she wants to be more like him than her. Not hard to understand. And the simultaneous embodiment of the feminine and the masculine. So everybody knows Lady Gaga, but Joe Calderone. So look at this.
My name is Joe Calderon.
He look familiar? This Lady Gaga's alter person, Joe. And you know about avatars. So many people are create their own avatars, not their sex though. So they're experimenting with being, the other sex. So there's a lot of betweenness in terms of how we think and how we believe. So what should marketers do in this world? It is about marketing after all. If you look at some of the really more successful brands, they manage to embrace male and female. If you said, what is Apple? Is it a female brand? Is it a male brand? And really what it is it's a both brand, as is Nespresso. So those kind of captured both the male and the female DNA. Women have the money. Single women purchased 21% of the homes. Growth in rate of business in the past 10 years, women own 44%. 58% of dollars spent online are by women. And men are starting to experiment. Justin Bieber now has a line of nail polish, and he wears nail polish, and he is not gay. So I think that there's a little lean left and right, and Levi's launches ex-girlfriend jeans for men. And Marc Jacobs announces a plan to design a plus-size line. He's the first high-fashion designer to do that. And we have to liberate the media.
The media is the message and the messenger, and increasingly a powerful one.
In a world of 1 million channels, people try to do more shocking things to break through the clutter. They resort to violent images, or sexually offensive images, or demeaning images.
When is it gonna be enough? There is no appreciation for women intellectuals. It's all about the body, not about the brain.
You all saw the photo from the weekend of Hillary looking so haggard and looking like 92 years old.
Breast implants. Did you have them or not?
If you waterboarded Nancy Pelosi, she wouldn't admit to plastic surgery.
The fact that media are so derogatory to the most powerful women in the country, then what does it say about media's ability to take any woman in America seriously?
So that's kind of where it starts. And, wait a second, I don't want to do that. Oh, going backwards for a futurist, that's not good. Patagonia. Look at Patagonia. I don't know about this though. They tell you a lot. They tell you a lot about what's in the brand, right? But once I read this, I said, I'm never going to wear down again. It's been difficult to source down that has been neither live plucked nor harvested from geese raised for foie gras. Would you wear down after that? Like, yuck. But anyway, this is their ad for down. In Korea, they will go and visit you at home to sell you life insurance. And I'm trying to buy a car now. It's crazy. Why do I have to go somewhere, especially to an abusive space, If a woman walks in still, right, to a car showroom, the salesperson, female or male, looks behind you to see who's paying, I'm looking too. Where is he? Apple's breathing power light, the Apple power light, it breathes. Steve Jobs was a genius. He really understood that Apple was more of a pet, really, and a companion than a computer. Make it easy. In India, because women, feel endangered going home late, they give them taxis. Mothers come on business trips. They make it possible for women to work, in a culturally comfortable world. And a brand should solve a problem, and this is the most brilliant and best, one-for-one marketing. Everything should be one-for-one, actually. Anytime you buy something, one should go to somebody that needs one, and give back. Duh. Now, I don't know if you've seen Bon Jovi's community restaurant. It's in New Jersey. So here's a little clip on it.
In New Jersey, at the newest cafe in town,
I'd like to try the gumbo.
it's impossible to tell who has come just to eat out and who is truly hungry. And that is exactly the point.
Welcome to Soul Kitchen. You'll notice that there are no prices on the menu. That's because we are a community restaurant.
But there's no free lunch. At the Soul Kitchen, those who can't pay work, either in the community or at the restaurant, to earn their meal. And then enjoy something so many working families can no longer afford, a special night out.
Nice, right? And you know they're making money. That's fun. They are making a profit, which means people that have money give more than the meal really costs. So feminization of the culture is elevating society's collective consciousness. It's going to be a good thing for society. It's the end of combative feminism and patriarchal dominance, but it is the emergence of a higher purpose, we believe, for humanity. And that's it. It's gender, it's compassion, it's honesty, it's conscience, intuition, power, evolution, re-evolution. Thank you.
There's plenty of time for questions. So
We bought me a diamond ring. That's really
Would
nice.
you like a diamond ring?
Yeah, sure. Put a ring on it,
Please, we open up. Yes, sir.
Faith, there's a sort of a trend that's the restaurant reminded me of called "Pay What You Want."
Yeah, right. Pay what you want.
Do you see a future in that? Do you see that growing?
Especially when it's attached to a cause. So pay what you want if people cannot afford it and go in and pay nothing. I think it's fantastic. And what's interesting about Bon Jovi's effort is that when you look at the restaurant, you don't know the difference between someone homeless sitting down and someone with like loads of cash. So it could be an extremely cool idea for a chain. I mean, really, when you think about a McDonald's, maybe they could make up for some of what they're doing, to the planet in terms of, how they, kill the cows and ruin the planet and kill the people. And, if they did maybe a little pay what you want. So.
Yes, Jim?
My interest is global sustainability. I went to 2 conferences a while ago. 75% of the audience was female, graduate students in general. What can you say about leadership for global sustainability from the feminine side?
Well, I think that females are very attracted to it. That's why 75%. Sustainability, I mean, when you say sustainability, it's about what? Continuance, right? I mean, they're the ones that pop out the babies.
Of our species, continuation of our
Our species, right? So they have the babies. I mean, they're wired for that. Except I know one man, I mean, really well, that's wired for this too. And his name is Fisk Johnson, and he owns that company, SC Johnson. They make Glade. And this guy is a client, is real. And he does so much. He'll take ingredients out of things that are bad for the planet. He's just starting, we're working with him to do, we're taking it from a family company to a company for families. And we're just starting to do the work with him about, recycling. He's going to be doing a recycling thing in every state. We're trying to get other people, like Pepsi may join. We need more together. But it's definitely a female, it doesn't have to be a woman though. It's a female wiring. And that's what it takes. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to bring up about the food system. There's the food co-op. There's a food co-op in Brooklyn, and you work there, and you can get your food at a discount, and it's all fresh and organic, a lot of it. I think that should be more so, because we're wasting so much food, and the prices are going up so much, and they have to throw out half of it. So, that's enough.
We have to speak up a little
No, that's
bit.
absolutely right.
We're told in the back that people in the back are having a hard time hearing, so when you ask a question.
Oh,
we'll make
yeah.
sure.
I'll repeat it.
Okay.
Okay.
You're done with your question? Yes?
So why, you said liberate the media, and it's definitely a problem. Why is the media so far behind all of these other initiatives, and how do we liberate them?
Yeah, she's saying, why is the media so far behind? So when you turn the stuff off, they won't be so far behind. I mean, you have to turn it off. So I mean, sex sells, you know? And as we're getting very, you know, they're doing a lot of studies, and Mark's looking at this deeply about like, all right, so there's so much to tell you, but how the internet kind of like dulls your sensitivity, and how multitasking kind of dulls your sensitivity, and how you're getting wired in the same way as people are wired when they watch pornography. Like, right, Mark? It's like, Mark's running the trend department, so if you want to know anything, ask him. So, we're being actually evolutionarily rewired through the internet. And what's the number one, thing that's sold on the internet is pornography. And in Japan, and that's going to come this way because people are getting more and more afraid of getting diseases. They're afraid of relationships. They're hibernating. We used to call it, cocooning, but to the max. They don't have to come out. They can buy everything inside. So what's happening? They're just going more in and in and in. And, a lot of, sex toys are going through the roof. These mechanical dolls, sex dolls that are coming. And they're coming, west to east. It's a mega little talked about industry. And that's all about, the retrieval from the internet, the retrieval of, people don't want to go out. It's dangerous. Do you want to ask?
Yes, in the back. We'll go right behind you first, and then she okay, good. Please.
I have more of a thank you than a question.
Okay.
I'm Jacquette Timmons. I'm a GBA grad of '92. I'm the author of Financial Intimacy and the creator of the Financial Intimacy Conference. And I've been talking about behavioral finance and the importance of targeting that towards women, because they really are, if you direct it towards them, that is an indication of cultural and economic trends and patterns. And so when I heard about tonight's session, I could not wait to come. I could not wait to meet you. And I just thank you for the affirmation that every time I hear a no, I'm on the right track.
You are 100%.
Your
You know what?
talent
I have some advice for you being a consultant. So every time you hear a no, you say, it's just no for today.
Thank you.
No? So we're a big pain in the butt. I mean, they say they have rooms full of Faith Popcorn mail in these companies. I mean, no, it does not exist.
Okay, so we're in the back, and then we'll come back to you.
Hi, thank you for tonight's presentation. Just like 20 or 30 years ago, you're so on target.
Thank you.
And I am very curious about your reaction. I don't know if you saw the New York Times today. I was reading it online, and there is a study that was released about the wage gap between men and women.
Right.
And they were talking about how here we are, still at the same place.
Was 70% still? Or?
Well, I think we're finally up to about 80 or 82%, or 80 or 82 cents on the dollar that every man makes. So I was wondering if you could predict how much longer we're going to have this discrepancy. You've been so good on all the other predictions, or just your reaction to it.
At least
really.
we have a job. I mean, women have all the jobs. So maybe a man makes more, but if he's unemployed, he's making nothing. So I mean, it's kind of as a way to bring down the hourly in a sense. There's, I've been talking, we've spent time at trend departments down in Zuccotti Park, in this whole 99-1, Life is not fair. Life is not fair. And women, women don't ask for raises, that. They stay, they're just terrible. So, it's a beautiful part about them, and it's the not good part about them, but I do believe it will change. It's creeping up there. I think it'll change. But I don't think the Fortune 200 structure is right for females, frankly. I don't think it's creative enough. I don't think it's interesting enough. I think it's too hierarchical. I think most great ideas don't come out of large companies. It's really not. And that's why I think the numbers are so high of women starting their own thing.
I think so too. You got a question here? Yes, sir.
So given the trends, what product or services or what industry is going to be most affected in the next 10 years or so?
Well, affected down or up?
Either way.
Okay, so down would be, I think we're really starting to understand about the foods, the food thing is changing.
The
There's
retailing side, the production side, both?
both. And there's going to be vertical farming. There'll be office like buildings higher than this, which will grow green. There's going to be vertical farming. So I think we're getting a little bit smarter about that, a little bit more educated about that. I think the good thing is it makes things easier, like home delivery, service, that kind of thing. I think those industries will grow. I think well, you can talk about this better than I. But pharma innovation, I think, is a beautiful thing. So.
We have a lot of people in the back now. Are there questions from any of you in there? Yes, sir.
Or are you drinking back there?
You'll have to speak a little louder. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what's the deal with Starbucks? They market these badges, they have stores everywhere.
What's the deal with Starbucks?
They have this new campaign now. You buy something, find out donate, money. There's nothing original about that.
Nothing what?
Go in there and buy $10 worth of coffee.
You know what, though? I have to say, Howard Schultz, who I've known for many, many years, is the first person that ever gave part-time workers health care. And that's kind of a nice thing. And if he makes you a great cup of coffee for $4 and you have $4 and you want to spend it, that's cool. I think he's a good guy. And the other thing is that his people are happy. He's got people behind the counter that he knows how to make happy. He's trained a lot of people. And if you don't like that, go to Dunkin' Donuts and buy it. McDonald's is knocking them off for $1. Nobody forces you to go into Starbucks.
Yes.
How do you see? I you can hear me. I'm muted.
No, they can't hear you back there.
How do you see this trend? So the revolution trend intersecting with possibly another trend, which is to move away from suburbs and cars and towards cities. Urbanization.
Yeah, that's it. Especially with 50 plus. People are really discovering that they can do a lot better in the city, get along better, it's more interesting in the city. Urbanization is enormous. People got sick of it out there. After all, how come it's in Connecticut that nobody has heat and light? Somebody is telling you something.
We have time for a couple more questions, yes?
Hi, Faith. I want to know about how evolution is going to affect. If I look at the world crisis, I think it's been predominated by the military and terrorism and the current corporate structure, including the financial sector and the military, and politics, all of which are dominated by men right now. What do you see as the change happening in those sectors to evolve?
Women don't usually go out and kill people. It's not really, we're not wired for that. We're wired to give life, not to take it away. Now, you can say there are a couple, there are some pretty tough female leaders of countries. But, they're like a lot of women that you see in Fortune 200 corporations, they become men. They're not really women anymore. They really become men. But I think as there are more and more female leaders, women negotiate, they make peace, they want everybody to be happy and be together. They're not as money driven, and I don't think they can send children in to be killed. I just think it goes against them. So I think things will change there.
Yes.
What do you think is next? It's been digital and then social.
Use the mic so they can hear you, honey.
I was just wondering what you think is next. It's been digital, then mobile, then social. What's on the next, trend for that genre?
You want to say you hope it's just going to go back to relationships and talking, but it's not. It's gone. It's all. If you have friends still that you like to talk to, have a good time because it's ending. So I think that there's a lot of, they're doing a lot of experimenting. I don't know if you've heard about this brain nets. Or they can do, we predicted in the popcorn report, chips, that, they'll put a chip in, you don't have to learn French, you just know it, you'll know things. This is absolutely coming. And these brain nets allow you to, a couple of things, communicate with other people without using words. So you might have a different kind of communication. It allows you to move things, and they're doing that at the CIA right now. You know, pilots can move wheels and dials just using the force of their mind, electrical force. So I do think it's just going to be, if you think this is bad, and you're going like, because you're still part of the, you know, the evolution of where it was, it's just going to get more so, more modern.
One more question. We'll give you the honor of that question.
I was wondering whether the
Please
90,
use the
wondering whether the 99 versus 1% movement you see as some kind of feminization or evolution. Part of that.
You know, 99-1, I was wondering why it took so long for it to happen. I mean, I told you we were talking about this like 5 years ago. There was such a life rage happening. You see when people, you can see it driving a lot. People are screaming and yelling. They're so upset. They write letters to corporations you can't even imagine. Not because anything's wrong with that in particular, but they're so angry. They're so furious. So, you know, I think that this 99-1 is the beginning of a global revolution. I don't think it's their job to change things. It's their job to complain and raise the awareness. And it's the government, you know, or whomever is in charge, it's their job to change things. And I don't think, a lot of guys tell me, when it snows, they'll go home. And by the way, a lot of them are men. When it snows, they'll go home. They're not going home when it snows. And it's interesting that most companies, except beautiful Ben & Jerry's, don't want to get in there. I suggested to one company that I know that makes cleaning products, let's get in globally and clean up the parks, you know. I suggested to a soft drink manufacturer person, let's go in there and serve it. They'll love you. They'll remember you. It's the biggest opportunity for free product placement on the planet at this moment. I don't know if we want to get close to that. So they're right. It is. It's 99 against 1. And I don't think it's going to go away. So thank you so much.
Thank you. A couple of thank yous. In the back, Jill Logan, thank you very much for all you've done in making this event as successful as it has been. Thank you. I also want to again thank Sander and Michelle for their sponsorship of this event, and David Gauci, Donna Rapaccioli, Ellen Fahey-Smith, and several others who've made this event possible. I thank you. And lastly, Faith, this is a small token of our appreciation for your visiting with us and for being part. We'll have to get a sense whether this is marketed appropriately and whether we see a future in Tiffany and their work. It's a crystal ball. What do you think? A crystal ball? Thank you.